Evening arrives slowly over the Judean hills, painting the limestone ridges in shades of amber and rose. You follow the ancient road that winds toward Jerusalem, each curve revealing another glimpse of the city ahead, its walls catching the last warmth of the departing sun. The air carries a coolness that speaks of desert nights approaching, threading through the warmth that still radiates from sun-soaked stone. Your breath mists slightly in the cooling air, visible for just a moment before dissolving into the gathering dusk. As you draw nearer, the city seems to rise from the earth itself, as if the hills have gathered their strength into these walls and towers. The limestone glows with an inner light, that particular Jerusalem gold that travelers have remarked upon for millennia. It is neither quite yellow nor orange, but something between honey and flame, softening now as shadows begin to pool in the valleys below. The sound reaches you first as a gentle hum, the collective breath of a living city preparing for evening. Church bells ring out across the hillsides, their bronze voices carrying on air scented with wild sage and pine. From somewhere within the walls comes the call to prayer, the muezzin's voice rising and falling in ancient rhythm, weaving through the bell tones until sacred sounds become one tapestry of devotion, floating over stone and sky. You pause on the hillside path, letting these sounds wash over you. The wind moves gently through the valley, carrying with it the faint scent of cardamom and cinnamon from unseen kitchens, the earthy sweetness of figs ripening in hidden gardens. Other travelers move past in the growing dusk, some on foot like yourself, others leading donkeys laden with goods for tomorrow's markets. Their conversations drift by in Arabic, Hebrew, English, creating a quiet music of human connection. No one hurries. The approaching night seems to slow all movement to a contemplative pace. The path beneath your feet has been worn smooth by countless generations of pilgrims, traders, conquerors, and wanderers. Your steps fall into grooves carved by time itself, and there is something deeply calming in this. Knowing that your journey follows in the wake of so many others who have approached these walls with wonder, with longing, with simple weariness seeking rest. You run your fingers along a weathered stone marker beside the path, feeling the shallow indentations where countless other hands have touched this same surface, seeking connection with something solid and enduring. As you descend toward the city gates, the landscape shifts subtly around you. Olive trees, their silver-green leaves rustling in the evening breeze, line portions of the path. Some of these trees are ancient, their trunks twisted into fantastic shapes by centuries of wind and weather. They stand as patient witnesses, having seen empires rise and fall while they continued their quiet work of growing, bearing fruit, offering shade. The temperature drops another degree as the sun slips lower, and you pull your covering closer around your shoulders. The fabric catches the breeze for a moment, then settles. Somewhere nearby, you hear the gentle tinkling of goat bells as a shepherd guides his flock toward shelter for the night. His quiet whistle drifts across the hillside, a melody older than memory, and the animals respond with soft bleating as they settle into their evening rhythm. The shepherd's silhouette moves against the dying light, unhurried, eternal. From within the city walls comes the sound of water, a fountain somewhere, its voice carrying clearly in the still air. The sound is both near and far, intimate yet elusive, like the city itself. Now the walls loom closer, massive blocks of stone fitted together with precision that speaks of ancient skill. In this light, you can see the variations in the stone. Some blocks weathered smooth as silk, others still bearing the chisel marks of long-dead craftsmen. Your hand reaches out, almost involuntarily, to touch the wall, and the limestone feels warm still, releasing the day's heat slowly into your palm. History is written in these surfaces, in the patches where different eras of construction meet, where repairs tell stories of siege and rebuilding, of destruction and stubborn renewal. Small lights begin to appear in the windows and doorways visible beyond the walls. Lanterns and candles, electric bulbs and oil lamps. Every era of illumination seems present here simultaneously. The lights flicker and glow, creating a constellation at ground level that mirrors the first stars appearing in the darkening sky above. The scent of cooking food drifts out to meet you. Bread baking in stone ovens, its yeasty warmth almost tangible in the cooling air. Meat roasts with rosemary and thyme, the herbs releasing their essence into smoke that curls up from hidden courtyards. The sweet perfume of honey cakes mingles with these heartier aromas, along with the distinctive scent of strong coffee brewing in brass pots. You can hear individual voices now as you approach the gate. A vendor calls out a final invitation to examine his wares before closing for the night, his voice warm with the fatigue of a long day. Children's laughter echoes from somewhere within the walls, bright and careless, followed by a mother's gentle call to come inside. The steady rhythm of footsteps on stone creates an underlying pulse, the heartbeat of a city that never truly sleeps, but does settle into quieter rhythms as darkness falls. The gates themselves are monumental, their arches rising high above you as you draw near. You pause at the threshold, feeling the weight of the ancient arch overhead, the subtle shift in temperature as you stand between the open hillside and the enclosed city. The stone here is worn smooth by millions of hands that have touched it in passing. Merchants, soldiers, pilgrims, wanderers like yourself. Other travelers converge here, all moving with the same unhurried purpose. Some carry bundles, others walk empty-handed. Some wear the dust of long journeys, others seem to have come only from the nearby hills. Yet all share this moment of arrival, this threshold between the outside world and the ancient heart within. As you pass beneath the great arch, the temperature shifts again. The stones hold the day's warmth differently here, creating a microclimate of gentle heat that envelops you like a welcoming embrace. The sounds change too. What was open and expansive on the hillside becomes intimate, contained, echoing softly off walls that have heard these same sounds for centuries upon centuries. Your footsteps join this eternal percussion, adding your rhythm to the countless others that have passed this way. The city receives you gently, as it has received countless others. There is no fanfare, no ceremony, just this quiet enfolding into streets that have known every kind of human story. The wind follows you through the gate, carrying the last scents of the hillside, sage and pine, before they mingle with the closer aromas of stone and spice, incense and ancient wood. Ahead, the first narrow street curves away into shadow, its cobblestones polished by centuries of passage. A warm golden light spills from a doorway halfway down the lane, and you glimpse figures moving within. Perhaps a family gathering for their evening meal. perhaps merchants closing their shop for the night. The light creates a pool of invitation on the worn stones, suggesting warmth and human presence just a few steps ahead. Jerusalem opens before you, layer by layer, ready to reveal its nighttime secrets to those who wander with patience and wonder. The Jaffa Gate rises before you, its weathered stone archway opening like a portal between worlds. You pass beneath its ancient curve, feeling the temperature shift as you enter the embrace of Jerusalem's old city. The evening light filters differently here, caught between high walls and narrow passages, creating pools of amber warmth and violet shadow that shift with each step you take. Your footsteps join a rhythm that has echoed through these alleys for millennia. The limestone beneath your feet has been polished smooth by countless pilgrims, merchants, and wanderers. The streets narrow as you move deeper, walls rising on either side like protective arms, drawing you into the city's intimate embrace. The day's commerce is winding down around you. A metal shutter rattles as a spice vendor pulls it halfway closed, pausing to arrange one last display of za'atar and sumac in small wooden bowls. The green herbs release their earthy fragrance into the cooling air, mixing with the lingering sweetness of dates from a neighboring stall. An elderly man carefully covers towers of halva with white cloth, the sesame confection gleaming pale gold in the lamplight, before disappearing beneath its nightly shroud. You drift past a bakery where the ovens still radiate warmth through an open doorway. The scent of fresh pita and Jerusalem bagels, still dusted with sesame seeds, mingles with the sharper note of rosemary bread cooling on wooden racks. A baker emerges briefly, flour still dusting his forearms, and hangs a small lantern beside his door. The flame flickers gently, casting dancing shadows across sacks of grain stacked against the wall. The alleys branch and merge like veins through the old stone body of the city. You choose your path by instinct rather than destination, following the gentle slope downward, then up again, guided by the soft glow of lights beginning to appear in windows above. Some are electric, steady and modern, while others are oil lamps that waver with each breath of wind, their golden light more forgiving. A narrow archway beckons, and you duck slightly to pass through. On the other side, the alley opens into a small courtyard you hadn't expected. A fountain occupies its center, water trickling from a carved spout into a basin below. The sound is delicate, almost musical, each drop adding its note to an endless, soothing melody. Around the fountain, potted jasmine releases its evening perfume, the white flowers barely visible in the deepening twilight, but announcing themselves through scent alone. You pause here, letting your fingers trail along the cool stone edge of the fountain. The water is clear and cold, reflecting fragments of the darkening sky above. Your breathing slows, matching the gentle rhythm of the falling water. A cat appears from the shadows, padding silently across the courtyard. Its amber eyes catch the lamplight for a moment before it disappears through another archway. A silver shadow moving through silver shadows. Its presence feels neither surprising nor intrusive, simply another inhabitant of these timeless streets, going about its nightly rounds. You linger in this hidden pocket of calm, feeling the day's warmth still radiating from the stones while the night air cools your skin. Somewhere nearby, a wooden shutter closes with a soft thud. A mother calls her children inside, her voice carrying the universal melody of evening's end. The city is settling, drawing its inhabitants home, preparing for the deeper quiet that comes with full darkness. Moving on through the maze, you find yourself where the quarters blend and overlap, their boundaries fluid in the evening hours. Through an iron gate, you glimpse a small synagogue, its interior lit by hanging lamps that cast geometric patterns through latticed windows. The sound of evening prayers drifts out, voices rising and falling in Hebrew melodies that have echoed through Jerusalem for thousands of years. Not far away, church bells begin their evening toll, bronze voices calling across the rooftops. The sound mingles with the distant call of a muezzin, the two creating an unexpected harmony in the cooling air. A few late pilgrims pass you, their heads bowed in quiet contemplation, prayer beads clicking softly in their hands. The streets here hold a different quality of silence, as if the very limestone has absorbed centuries of devotion. Through open doorways, you catch glimpses of courtyards where families gather for the evening meal. The scent of cooking drifts out. Lamb seasoned with cardamom, rice pilaf with pine nuts, the sharp tang of pickled vegetables. Children's laughter echoes briefly, before being hushed by gentle voices. Above, the dome of the rock catches the last light of evening, its golden surface transformed to deep bronze, then copper, as the sun continues its descent beyond the city walls. The dome seems to float above the surrounding buildings, a celestial presence anchoring the earthly maze below. You pause to watch this transformation, feeling your own internal rhythms slow to match the city's evening tempo. As full darkness approaches, Jerusalem reveals a more intimate face. The tourist groups have departed. The vendors have gone home. Residents emerge for evening strolls, their voices soft in the darkness. A group of students passes, discussing something in low tones, their debate gentle, as if the night itself calls for softer voices. You climb a set of worn steps, each one dipping slightly in its center from centuries of use. The stone feels cool beneath your palm as you steady yourself against the wall. At the top, a small terrace offers a view across the rooftops. The city spreads before you in layers, domes and towers, arches and walls, all woven together into a single tapestry. Lights twinkle from windows like earthbound stars, each one marking a life, a story, a continuation of Jerusalem's endless narrative. The air has cooled considerably now, carrying the scent of wild thyme and sage from the valleys beyond the walls. A nightbird calls, its voice threading through the quieting sounds of the city. You breathe deeply, feeling the desert-touched air fill your lungs, clean and slightly sharp with the promise of the wilderness that surrounds this ancient place. Descending back into the maze of streets, you notice how the lamplight transforms the limestone walls into something almost liquid, shadows flowing like water through the carved doorways and arched passages. Your path leads you past a small church, its courtyard gate standing open. Inside, a single lamp burns before an altar, its light steady and patient, keeping watch through the night. The streets grow quieter still as you wander. Jerusalem doesn't sleep entirely, it never does. but it settles into a different rhythm, older and deeper than the bustle of day. You can feel the patience of the place, the way it has learned to hold contradictions, to shelter different truths side by side. Your footsteps echo softly, joining the whispered conversation between present and past that never quite ceases here. A fountain murmurs in another hidden courtyard, its sound drawing you like a gentle summons. This one is older, its basin carved with patterns worn nearly smooth by time. The water here tastes of minerals and depth, as if drawn from some ancient aquifer that remembers when this hilltop was bare of buildings, when only wind and stars kept watch. You sit on the fountain's edge, feeling the coolness seep through your clothes. Above, the sky has deepened to indigo, with stars beginning to pierce through the veil of city light. The jasmine scent has followed you here, carried on air currents that wind through the narrow passages like invisible rivers. From somewhere comes the sound of an oud being tuned, its strings releasing tentative notes into the night. The music begins slowly, a melody that seems to rise from the stones themselves, speaking of longing and belonging, of exile and return. You close your eyes, letting the sound wash over you, feeling how it seems to make the very air shimmer with meaning. As you prepare to move deeper into the night city, you notice stone steps descending toward the eastern quarter, where the Mount of Olives waits beyond the walls. The steps are worn into gentle curves, polished by countless feet into something almost organic, as if the city itself is guiding you forward. From that direction comes a different quality of air, drier, touched with the scent of olive groves and open hillsides. The sound of trickling water grows fainter behind you as you approach these steps. But ahead you can hear something else. Perhaps wind through ancient trees. Perhaps the whisper of even older stories waiting to be remembered. The city seems to be preparing another revelation, another layer of its endless depths. You pause at the top of the steps, your hand resting on the cool stone wall. Jerusalem holds you in this moment between what was and what will be, between the intimate courtyards you've wandered and the broader vistas that await. The night is still young, and the city has more secrets to share, more quiet wonders to reveal to those who walk its streets with patient, open hearts. The stones beneath your feet have known the tread of Roman legions, Byzantine priests, Crusader knights, and Ottoman merchants. Each empire that claimed this city left its mark not just in monuments, but in the very rhythm of life that still pulses through these ancient streets. You pause beside a weathered wall where limestone blocks, some as old as King Herod's reign, support newer additions from the Mamluk period, crowned by Ottoman arches. The layers tell their own story, each generation building upon the last, creating this extraordinary palimpsest of human devotion. Your breath slows as you take in the weight of centuries. Jerusalem has been called many names through time. To the Romans it was Aelia Capitolina, a colonial outpost on empire's edge. To medieval map-makers, it stood at the center of the world, with continents arranged around it like petals of a flower. The Hebrew name Yerushalayim speaks of wholeness and peace, while the Arabic Al-Quds means simply the holy. Each name carries its own weight of longing, its own vision of what this city means to those who love it. The night air is cool against your skin, carrying the faint sweetness of jasmine from a hidden garden. You move slowly through the Armenian Quarter, where the community has maintained its presence for over 1,600 years. Behind heavy wooden doors, you glimpse courtyards where pomegranate trees grow beside wells that have provided water since Byzantine times. The Armenians were among the first to embrace Christianity as a nation, and their Cathedral of St. James holds treasures brought by pilgrims along the Silk Road. Even now, in the gentle darkness, you can smell incense that has seeped into the very stones over centuries of evening prayers. A soft breeze guides you toward the Jewish quarter, rebuilt after destruction, yet anchored to foundations reaching back to the Second Temple. Here, archaeologists have uncovered ritual baths from 2,000 years ago, their steps worn smooth by countless feet descending into purifying waters. The western wall stands as the last remnant of that ancient temple complex, its massive blocks placed without mortar by Herodian builders, fitting so precisely that not even a blade can slip between them. Throughout centuries of diaspora, Jews faced this direction in prayer, holding Jerusalem in their hearts, even when they could not hold it in their hands. You pause, letting the coolness of the stone ground you in this moment. The Via Dolorosa stretches ahead, its stations marked by small chapels and worn plaques. This is the path tradition says Jesus walked toward crucifixion, though the street level now lies many feet above the Roman roads he would have known. Pilgrims have traced this route since the 4th century, when Helena, mother of Emperor Constantine, first identified the holy sites. On the roof of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, Ethiopian Orthodox monks maintain cells around a courtyard, where they have worshipped since medieval times, their chants rising with dawn and settling with dusk. The Muslim quarter encompasses the largest area of the old city, its life flowing around the Haram al-Sharif. The dome of the rock catches the last whispers of twilight on its golden cupola, marking where Islamic tradition holds that Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. Built in the 7th century, its octagonal design draws from Byzantine architecture, while its interior gleams with Quranic verses in golden calligraphy. Below, the Al-Aqsa Mosque maintains its role as the third holiest site in Islam, rebuilt many times, yet enduring. Your fingers trace the smooth surface of a stone wall, still warm from the day's sun. The Ottomans, who ruled for 400 years, left perhaps the most visible mark on tonight's city. Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent rebuilt these walls that now embrace the old city, their crenellations catching shadows in the moonlight. The Ottomans brought public fountains called sabils, where travelers could drink freely. Many still function, their carved marble basins offering cool water to any who pause. They established a delicate balance among the faiths, allowing diverse communities to maintain their sacred spaces side by side. You notice how each community has developed its own relationship with time here. The Jewish Sabbath brings particular quiet from Friday evening to Saturday night. Christian bells mark the canonical hours, their bronze voices calling across rooftops. 5 times daily, the muezzin's call winds through the air. These rhythms overlap and intersect, creating a complex temporal tapestry that has persisted through centuries. The air shifts slightly, carrying the scent of bread from a late-night bakery, mixing with distant frankincense. Markets here have operated continuously for over 1,000 years. The cotton merchants' market, built by the Mamluks, still shelters vendors beneath its vaulted ceiling. Families have passed down their stalls through generations, selling spices from Yemen and India, textiles from Damascus, pottery from Hebron. The continuity is remarkable. Ottoman purchase records show some of the same family names that appear on shop signs today. You breathe deeply, feeling the layers of history settle around you like a comfortable blanket. The city's water systems tell their own tale of continuity. Hezekiah's tunnel, carved through solid rock nearly 3,000 years ago, still channels water from the Gihon spring. Roman aqueducts brought water from Solomon's pools near Bethlehem. Ottoman fountains distributed this precious resource throughout the city. Today, modern pipes run carefully alongside ancient channels, the new infrastructure threaded through the old. Religious festivals transform these streets throughout the year. During Passover, Jewish families gather for symbolic meals. Easter brings processions winding through the Via Dolorosa. Ramadan fills the night streets with families breaking their fast together. Each celebration adds another layer to the city's memory, another year to its accumulated sanctity. The languages spoken here create their own archaeology of sound. Hebrew carries echoes of temple priests. Arabic flows in various dialects. Palestinian, Bedouin, and the formal classical of religious texts. Armenian, Greek, and Aramaic persist in liturgical use. Latin phrases rise from Catholic masses, while Orthodox churches maintain Byzantine Greek. Each language preserves its own version of Jerusalem's story, its own names for streets and gates. Your footsteps slow as the night deepens around you. Even the city's conflicts have become part of its layered identity. Destruction and rebuilding, exile and return. These cycles repeat through centuries, each leaving traces in stone and memory. The Crusader church that became a mosque that became a church again. The Jewish synagogue destroyed and rebuilt multiple times on the same spot. The city walls breached and repaired so often that stones from different eras now stand side by side, unified by mortar and time. As you walk these streets tonight, you join an unbroken chain of pilgrims, traders, and residents who have moved through these same spaces. Your footsteps follow paths worn by countless others, each carrying their own hopes, their own understanding of what Jerusalem means. The city receives all with the same ancient patience, its stones absorbing prayers in every language, its air carrying the smoke of incense, candles and oil lamps as it has for millennia. The moon has risen higher now, casting the city in silver light that softens edges between quarters, between histories, between faiths. From where you stand, you can see how different sections flow into one another, boundaries that seem so definite by day, becoming fluid in darkness. The sound of prayer, whether Hebrew, Arabic, or Armenian, rises and mingles in the night air, creating a harmony that speaks to something deeper than division. You feel your breathing match the rhythm of the city's quiet pulse. The stones beneath your palm are cool now, having released their stored warmth into the night. A fountain murmurs somewhere nearby, its sound drawing you forward like a gentle invitation. Ahead, through an archway touched by moonlight, you glimpse a small plaza where shadows pool in corners, and a single lamp burns beside an ancient doorway. The sound of water grows clearer. Not just one fountain, but several, their voices weaving together in the darkness. Your feet find their way naturally, following worn grooves in the stone that countless others have walked before you. The night is far from over, and Jerusalem's labyrinth opens before you, patient and welcoming. There are hidden courtyards still to discover, where the city's deepest quiet gathers like water in a well, waiting to receive you into its peaceful depths. The night has grown deeper around you, and the old city seems to breathe differently now, its rhythms slowing, like the pulse of someone settling into sleep. You drift through the Armenian quarter, where iron lanterns cast pools of amber light against walls built from Jerusalem stone, that particular limestone that holds warmth even as the desert night cools around it. Your footsteps echo softly, joining the symphony of sounds that have echoed here for millennia. Sandals, boots, bare feet, all treading the same worn paths. A cat slinks past, its shadow elongating against the wall before disappearing into a crack between buildings. The creature knows passages you cannot see, secret routes through this city of layers. Above, laundry still hangs between windows, white sheets and dark clothing swaying gently, like prayer flags in the barely perceptible breeze. Someone has left a window open, and from within comes the faint sound of a radio playing music in Arabic, the notes drifting down to mingle with the night air. You turn into a narrower passage, where the walls press closer, creating a cocoon of stone. Here, the temperature drops slightly, held cool by shadows that the sun never quite reaches, even in the heat of day. Your hand brushes against the wall, feeling the texture. Smooth in places where countless hands have touched, rough where the stone remains unworn. A small plaza opens before you, unexpected in its sudden spaciousness. In its center, a group has gathered around candles arranged in a careful circle on the ground. Their voices rise in Hebrew prayer, soft and rhythmic, the ancient words floating upward toward the stars, barely visible between the surrounding buildings. You pause at the edge of the plaza, not intruding but witnessing this moment of devotion. The candlelight flickers across faces both young and old, creating a tableau of concentration and peace. The prayer continues, washing over you like water, even if you don't understand the words. There's something in the cadence, the rise and fall of voices in unison, that speaks to something deeper than language. Your breathing naturally slows to match their rhythm, your chest rising and falling with the ancient melody. Moving on, you follow a path that begins to climb gently. The stones beneath your feet are polished smooth, worn into shallow depressions by the weight of history. You pass beneath an arch where someone has hung a small blue glass charm, an eye to ward off evil, catching the moonlight and casting a tiny blue shadow. The sound of your breathing mingles with the whisper of wind through a nearby olive tree, its branches reaching over a wall like gnarled fingers blessing the path. As you ascend, the city begins to reveal itself in layers below. First, the immediate rooftops with their water tanks and satellite dishes, the modern necessities perched atop ancient structures. Then beyond, the greater sprawl of domes and towers, each marking a different faith's claim on this sacred ground. The dome of the rock glows softly golden even in moonlight, while church bells stand silent in their towers, waiting for morning. Minarets pierce the sky like gentle reminders pointing toward heaven. You find yourself on a terrace overlooking the Kidron Valley, where tombs carved into the hillside have watched over the city for thousands of years. The valley holds a particular quality of silence, different from the quiet of the streets. It's older, deeper, as if the very earth here has absorbed so many prayers and tears that it has learned to hold them in perpetual stillness. A few lights twinkle from the villages on the opposite hills, but mostly there is darkness, soft and encompassing. The path continues along the slope of the Mount of Olives, winding between ancient olive trees, whose trunks are twisted into impossible shapes, each one a sculpture crafted by centuries of wind and weather. Local tradition whispers that some have stood here since the time of Christ, their roots reaching deep into the holy soil. You pause beside one particularly magnificent tree, its trunk so wide it would take 3 people holding hands to encircle it. The bark is deeply furrowed, creating patterns that look like ancient script in the moonlight. Placing your palm against it, you feel the slight warmth it has retained from the day, and beneath that, something else. A kind of vibration, perhaps just your imagination, but it feels like the tree is humming at a frequency too low to hear. From this vantage point, the entire old city spreads before you like a dream made of stone. The walls that seem so solid from ground level now appear almost delicate, tracing the contours of the hill like a crown. Within them you can make out the 4 quarters: Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Armenian, each with its own character, yet all flowing into one another without clear boundaries in the darkness. A sound drifts up from below. Children laughing somewhere in the Muslim quarter, their voices bright as bells before a parent calls them inside, and quiet returns. Then, from another direction, the sound of someone practicing violin, the notes tentative at first, then growing more confident, playing what sounds like a folk melody that could belong to any of the cultures that call this place home. You continue walking, drawn by the gentle slope downward toward another part of the city. The path here is less defined, more of a suggestion than a clear route, winding between low walls and through groves of pine and cypress. The scent of pine resin mingles with the earthier smell of dust and stone, creating a perfume unique to this landscape. Your feet find their own rhythm, steady and unhurried, matching the pace of your breathing. In a small clearing, you discover a bench, weathered wood supported by stone pillars. Someone has carved initials into the armrest. Not recently, judging by how smooth the edges have become. You sit for a moment, feeling the coolness of the wood through your clothing, letting the city's night sounds wash over you. Somewhere, a door closes with a soft thud. A motorcycle starts in the distance, its engine noise quickly fading as it moves away. These modern sounds blend surprisingly well with the ancient atmosphere, as if the city has learned to accommodate all the centuries simultaneously. The cool night air touches your skin, carrying with it the faint scent of bread from a bakery preparing for dawn, though morning is still hours away. You breathe deeply, feeling the air fill your lungs, cool and clean, with a hint of desert dryness. Rising from the bench, you follow a path that leads back toward the walls, but from a different angle. Here, you can see where newer construction has been built against the ancient fortifications, creating a patchwork of architectural styles. A Byzantine arch supports an Ottoman wall, which in turn holds up a British Mandate-era addition. It's archaeology you can touch, history made tangible in stone and mortar. The air has grown cooler now, carrying with it the scent of jasmine from someone's hidden garden. The fragrance is sudden and sweet, almost startling in its intensity, before it fades as you move past. You wonder about that garden. Who tends it? Who sits there in the evening enjoying its perfume? What stories those flowers could tell if they had voices. The sweetness lingers in your nostrils, mixing with the ever-present smell of old stone and distant incense. A fountain appears around the next corner, set into an alcove in the wall. The water trickles rather than flows, creating a gentle, persistent sound that seems to have been going on forever. The basin below is worn smooth, and coins glint at the bottom. Wishes made by visitors from around the world. Hopes and dreams accumulating in layers like sediment. You cup your hands and let the cool water run through your fingers. Not drinking, but simply feeling its movement, its temperature, its gentle insistence on continuing its path. The sensation grounds you in this moment, the water real and present against your skin. The streets are nearly empty now. Occasionally you pass someone else, a late-night walker like yourself, a security guard making rounds, a cat-feeding woman, leaving bowls of food in shadowy corners. Each person moves through their own version of the Jerusalem night, creating their own map of meaningful places. You find yourself approaching the Western Wall Plaza from above, looking down at an unusual angle. Even at this hour, a few figures stand at the wall, swaying gently in prayer, their forms like shadows against the massive blocks of Herodian stone. The plaza itself is mostly empty, its vast expanse peaceful under the stars. The sound of prayer drifts up, not the words but the rhythm, the devotion made audible. You pause, letting the murmured prayers wash over you like a lullaby, feeling your own breathing slow to match their peaceful cadence. The path leads you along the top of the wall, where you can look out over both the old and new cities. The contrast is striking. The organic, winding streets of the old city giving way to the straighter lines and electric lights of the modern neighborhoods. Yet even the new city has its own kind of beauty at night, its lights creating constellations on the ground that mirror those in the sky above. As you walk, you become aware of how the city holds silence differently in different places. Near the holy sites, it's a reverent quiet, heavy with accumulated prayer. In the residential quarters, it's the comfortable silence of sleep, punctuated by the occasional sound of daily life. And in the spaces between, in the passages and small plazas, there's an expectant quiet, as if the stones themselves are waiting for the next story to unfold. The night has reached that particular depth where time seems to slow, where minutes stretch like hours, and the boundary between waking and sleeping begins to blur. The city around you feels both absolutely real and slightly dreamlike, its edges softening in the darkness. Your footsteps have developed their own quiet rhythm, carrying you forward without conscious thought, following the ancient paths as countless others have done before. The stones beneath your feet seem to know the way, guiding you through the labyrinth with a gentle certainty. A soft breeze stirs, bringing with it the scent of night-blooming flowers and the faintest hint of frankincense from some distant ceremony. You breathe it in slowly, feeling your shoulders relax, your pace becoming even more leisurely. The city cradles you in its ancient embrace, each step taking you deeper into its nocturnal peace. Ahead, you glimpse a small courtyard where a fountain plays more fully than the last, its sound a gentle invitation to rest. The water's music is steady and soothing, promising coolness and calm. The promise of that quiet space draws you forward, your body already anticipating the peace of stillness after all this gentle wandering. As you approach, you can already feel the mist from the fountain touching your face, cool and refreshing. The courtyard beckons like a sanctuary within a sanctuary, and you move toward it with the slow certainty of someone approaching a place of deep rest. The last voices of evening prayer have dissolved into the stone corridors like water into limestone. You stand in a quiet corner of the old city, where the day's bustle has given way to something deeper. A silence that has been gathering here for centuries, pooling in doorways and courtyards, settling over rooftops like a soft blanket. The air has cooled considerably. It carries night-blooming jasmine from hidden gardens, mixing with the lingering warmth of sun-baked stone. A cat pads silently across worn cobblestones, its shadow barely visible in the amber glow of a street lamp. The city that hummed with movement just hours ago has transformed into something quieter, as if Jerusalem itself is preparing for rest. You move slowly, footsteps soft against ancient walls. Each stone beneath your feet has been polished smooth by countless others. Merchants and mystics, soldiers and scholars, all drawn to this place where heaven and earth seem to touch. A gentle breeze stirs, carrying the distant sound of bells from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. They ring in measured rhythm, marking the late hour with tones that emerge from the city's foundations. The sound mingles with rustling olive branches from gardens beyond the walls, creating a symphony of subtle movements. You find yourself drawn to a small courtyard, tucked away from the main thoroughfares. Here, an ancient fountain continues its eternal work, water trickling from a carved spout into a basin below. The sound is hypnotic. Splash, trickle, splash. A rhythm that has continued through Ottoman nights, Crusader vigils, and Roman watches. Each droplet catches moonlight as it falls, becoming a tiny star before rejoining the pool. A wooden bench sits against the courtyard wall, worn smooth by generations who have paused here. You settle onto it, feeling the cool wood, the solid wall at your back. Let yourself sink into this moment. Above, the sky has deepened to indigo, with stars emerging one by one, like memories surfacing in a quiet mind. The stones behind you still hold traces of the day's warmth, releasing it slowly into the night. You lean back, letting their ancient presence support you. These same stones have supported countless others seeking rest, seeking answers, seeking simply a moment of peace. They ask nothing except your presence, your willingness to be still. From somewhere in the Armenian quarter comes the soft sound of a duduk, its reedy voice floating over rooftops like a prayer made of breath and wood. The melody is slow, contemplative, each note given space to resonate before the next arrives. It speaks of longing and contentment in equal measure. The fountain continues beside you, Notice how the water has carved tiny channels in stone over centuries, creating patterns that catch moonlight like ancient script. Perhaps this is Jerusalem's true language, not Hebrew or Arabic or Latin, but the slow inscription of time upon stone and soul. A light appears in a window across the courtyard, warm behind latticed wood. You see the shadow of someone preparing for night's rest. A pot clinks softly, a chair scrapes, then stillness returns. The light casts geometric patterns through the lattice onto courtyard stones, creating temporary artwork that will vanish with dawn. The air grows cooler now, like silk against skin. It carries hints of the desert beyond the walls, that vast expanse where prophets once wandered, and stars shine with particular clarity. Yet here, within Jerusalem's embrace, that wildness is tempered, held within bounds of carved stone and cultivated gardens. Close your eyes for a moment. The city seems to expand around you. You can feel its layers. Byzantine churches upon Roman foundations, Islamic architecture beside Crusader walls, modern lives unfolding in ancient spaces. All held together not by mortar alone but by something more. The accumulated weight of human hope and sorrow, faith and doubt, settling into these stones like sediment in still water. When you open your eyes, the moon has risen higher, casting the courtyard in silver. The fountain's spray catches this light differently now, each droplet becoming a small moon, multiplied in the act of falling. The sound seems softer too, as if the water itself has joined the city's movement toward sleep. Your breathing has slowed to match the fountain's rhythm. In and out, like the tide of pilgrims through these streets. In and out, like the rise and fall of empires. In and out, like prayers ascending every hour, in languages both living and forgotten. The bench feels more comfortable now, accepting you as one more soul seeking rest within Jerusalem's walls. The city holds you with the same equanimity shown to all, neither judging nor demanding, simply offering its ancient hospitality to those who arrive with quiet hearts. Somewhere, a door closes softly, the last shop securing for night. The sound echoes briefly, then fades. Even the breeze has gentled, moving through the courtyard with barely a whisper, just enough to stir jasmine's scent. The stars have multiplied while you rested, the sky scattered with points of light, like seeds cast by an infinite hand. They shine down as they have for countless nights, witnesses to every prayer, every tear, every joy that has risen from these streets. Tonight, they witness your own gentle surrender to rest. The fountain continues its endless song. Let it carry you, each splash a stepping stone toward deeper rest. The city settles around you like a grandmother's quilt, heavy with history but soft with care. Jerusalem holds you in its timeless embrace, and you sink into it, grateful for this stillness. As your eyes grow heavy, moonlight traces patterns on stone, that eternal conversation between heaven and earth. Beyond the courtyard walls, the light creates a silver path, leading outward toward the hills where ancient roads wind into the desert. The city watches over you, as it has watched over millions, offering not answers, but presence, not resolution, but rest. And in that rest, you become part of Jerusalem's endless story, carried gently toward whatever journey tomorrow's light might bring.